Assalamu alaikum, family. My name is Brother Minister Alifullah of the Lost Temple of Islam and the Lost Foundation of Islam here in the wilderness of North America. And this week, in the NOI prophecy, we will cover how the 24 scientists write history in advance. Of course, we would like to begin all things in the name of Allah, so permit me to pray within as we work without. In the name of Allah, God, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, and in the name of his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I thank Almighty God, Allah, and his messenger, as well as the 24 scientists of Islam, for blessing us with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of ourselves, and teaching us the true nature of the original man. O Allah, forgive us for our weaknesses and our faults, and let us die not unless it's in accord with Messenger Elijah Muhammad's teachings and his programs. Amen. Today, we would like to look at prophecy, and several people have emailed me and written and inquired as to why I always talk about the messenger's message. In brief, I say we need the messenger's message to guide us through this age of mess. Let me share with you something from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad himself from 1972 from the Theology of Time. To those of you that may have this particular edition of the book, you'll find it on page number 170. To those of you that may have the tapes or the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this on August the 6th of 1972, and I quote him: "If you don't know the messenger who brought the message from God, how can you learn of the sender? You got to learn the messenger and his message." Think that over for a moment. You got to learn the messenger and his message. We need the messenger's message to guide us through this age of mess. We are living in a world of chaos. We are living in the actual, literal, economic, moral, and spiritual and social fall of America. We are seeing the old world go out and the new world come in. The teachings of that mystery God is alive and well and very much in power. We see religious extremism in Islam and Judaism. We see poverty. We see Ebola. We see viruses and death just all around our people. Even though we know certain information, we still see that our people are suffering from diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, cancers, overweight. We see the world collapsing around us. Again, my personal position is that we need the messenger's message to guide us through this age of mess. Before we begin, let me explain to you what this is not. This is not an attack on your particular belief, whether you're Muslim or Christian or Jewish or atheist, or if you're black or you're white or you're rich or you're poor, or you're educated or uneducated, if you're in society, if you're incarcerated. This position that I'm taking is a position based on basic principles. The basic principles are knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, freedom, justice, and equality, food, clothing, and shelter, love, peace, and happiness. I'm saying that we know there are people who are sincere in all faiths, and we also know there are people who are not sincere in all faiths. So if you're a good Christian or you're a good FOI and you follow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or the Honorable Minister Salas Muhammad or Brother Minister Levi Kareem or Nasir or the Messenger's brother John Muhammad or Jeremiah Shabazz, do not misinterpret or misconstrue my niyat or my intention. I'm simply saying all of that I learned from. I claim all of that. I claim the Bible. I claim the Quran. I claim Afrocentricity. I claim my revolutionary brothers. I claim my brothers in the belly of the beast. I claim my people who are striving for freedom, justice, and equality, regardless of their particular persuasion or faith base. Because actually, we're teaching the same thing, just in different ways. However, we do have differences. And I don't pretend like we don't have differences. I don't pretend that if you believe that nothing is something, that I'm going to believe that nothing is something, that nowhere is somewhere. I don't believe in a mystery God. My position is real simple. I believe the black man is God. Plain and simple. I believe as Messenger Elijah Muhammad believed. He teaches us that God is a man. He teaches us we don't look up for God. He teaches us a message to the black man. He said, get out of that. He said the Christians don't sit around and wait for some mystery God to answer their prayers. He said they answer their own prayers. Prayer to us is a person, place, or thing. Prayer is not an adjective or a verb. It's a noun. Meaning that a person must be in a certain place doing something. So if you make your prayers standing up, if you make your prayers in the form of rakats facing the east or the west, if you get immersed in water during baptism, if you eat the Eucharist or what have you, I understand that as human beings we're social creatures and we develop our own rituals and signs and symbols and uniforms. You may wear a beard, you may wear a kufi, you may wear a bald head, you may wear a straight tie, you may wear a bow tie. You may say, I'm registered with this minister or that minister. Don't mix me up in that. I don't have no followers. I don't believe in followers. I do not believe in temples. I do not believe in masjids. I do not believe in churches or synagogues. I believe that the people are the church. The people are the temple. The people, I mean human beings, flesh and blood, are the masjid or the mosque or whatever nomenclature you want to use to describe your institutions. I'm saying that's the people. Whether you're claiming the Holy Bible and you're arguing this tribe or that tribe or Yahweh or Allah or Jesus, I'm saying the people is God. I'm saying the people are the devil. I'm saying heaven and hell is here on earth. I'm not working with anything spooky or anything supernatural. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the Theology of Time in 1972, Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. We may add, we may multiply, we may divide, we may subtract, but we must deal with the reality of mathematics. The Holy Quran says, Allahu Ana al-Haq, Surah 22, Ayat 6. I am the God and I am nothing but reality. The sure reality, the sure truth, the pure truth. So, we have misinterpretations and misunderstandings that is causing divisions amongst brothers and sisters, amongst believers. And this is why, as a student follower of Messenger Elijah Muhammad's teachings, operating in a position of a minister, and don't get that mixed up, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we are all ministers. You see? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Al Says Arrive, he said on page number 26 in 1974, February 26, his last book, he said Allah is all of us. You don't teach us that Allah is some of us. He said in the Theology of Time in 1972 that we are the sons and daughters of Allah. So, this is the position that I take. And because so many of our people confuse organized religion with spirituality, they think I have time to dispute truth, that I want to go on YouTube and debate them in their belief. I'm saying if your belief is working for you and you have faith in that, My position is stick with that, because if you came over here with me, this might not work for you. You can't grow oranges on an apple tree. You can't go to Miami and pick a orange and take it to Erie Avenue and plant that orange in Erie Avenue, and just because it's getting the same sunlight or the same rainwater and expect it to grow. You have to allow a fruit to grow in the nature of its own environment. There are some fruits that are sweet, there are some sour, there are some bitter, there are some that are not ripe yet, and in the future they become ripe. There are some that are so ripe they're getting rotten. There are some that fall off the tree and germinate into the earth and they produce new trees. But you don't look at the nature of the fruit and misconstrue it and try to make clones or little robots and teach that every last one of us is going to be alike. That is so spooky. That is so contrary to the mathematical laws of Heelah, to Mother Nature, to common sense, to our experiences in this universe, to our ancestors. Everything we know teaches us balance. We may call it Ma'at, we may call it other things, but we're basically dealing with freedom, justice, and equality. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we didn't even always call it Islam. So we don't get caught up in rituals and titles and names and languages, and should I argue with the Hebrew Israelites or the Moors? I'm like, I am a Hebrew Israelite. I am a Moor. I am my brother. I am one with my people. We have the same DNA. Even though you may say, well, we all got 3.5 pound adult brains or 7.5 ounce baby brain, there's only one mind. There's only one energy. There's only one alcoholic or one creator of creation. And Allah cannot become more nor less than himself. So, with that said, let us look at prophecy and try to look at how is it that the 24 scientists, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, is able to write history in advance. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in a book titled The Supreme Wisdom. This is volume number 2. He has 2 books under the name The Supreme Wisdom, both of them from 1957. But this particular one, you got to pardon my books, they look all raggedy and noted all up because I go to work with the messenger teachers. I love the teachers. I study these teachers. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us about prophecy. He says in the Supreme Wisdom, Volume 2, on page number 68 as well as 69, the prophecy about the 144,000. It is written, Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, that only 144,000 of us will accept and return to our God, Allah, and the rest 16,856,000 would go down with his enemies. For this sad prophecy of the loss of my people, I write what I am writing, hoping perhaps that you may be able to beat the old prophet's prediction by making the truth so simple that a fool can understand it. Think about that. I write what I am writing, hoping perhaps that you may be able to beat the old prophet's prediction by making the truth so simple that a fool can understand it. Here, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we as human beings, as student followers of his, have in our being, in our very nature, in our consciousness, in our intellect, in our desire, in our mechanics, the means withal to actually change prophecies. If we understand it and put it plain and simple, raw, pure, uncut, we can actually change the mathematics of the very laws that govern the universe that covers 238 quintillion 640 quadrillion miles. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad goes on to teach us regarding prophecy in Message to the Black Man of America. He says this on page number 108. We make such history once every 25,000 years. When such history is written, it is done by 24 of our scientists. One acts as judge or God for the others, and the 23 actually do the work of getting up the future of the nation. And all is put into one book, and at intervals with such and such part or portion will come to pass, that people will be given that part of the book through one among that people from one of the 12 major scientists, as it is then called a scripture, which actually means script of writing from something original or book. There is a significance to the number 24 scientists in the 25,000 years. The number 24 scientists used is in accordance with the hours in our day in the measurement of the circumference of our planet around the equator and in the region of our poles, Arctic and Antarctic oceans. Our planet is not exactly 25,000 miles in circumference. It is 24,896. And we, according to astronomy, don't have a full 24-hour day, but near that. 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. The change made in our planet's rotation at the poles is about 1 minute a year and takes 25,000 years to bring about a complete change in the region of the poles. The actual poles are inclines, 23.5 degrees to the plane of its orbit. The original black nation used 23 scientists to write the future of that nation for the next 25,000 years. And the 24th is the judge or the one God, Allah. Allah taught me that once upon a time, they made history to last for 35,000 years. Think about that. Once upon a time, these 24 scientists used to write the history to last, quote, for 35,000 years. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in the Supreme Wisdom, Volume 1, that prior to the deportation of our moon 66 trillion years ago, the 24 scientists actually used to write history to last for 35,000 years because the circumference of the planet Earth at that time was 35,000 miles. And since the original man write his history a year to every mile, at that time there was an increase. So today we have 12 tribes of Shabazz, but the messenger teaches us in the Supreme Wisdom Volume 1, 1957, that we used to have 13 tribes. And those 13 tribes used to write the history for 35,000 years. But when one of the scientists, a black man, a god, used the wrong mathematics, he tried to force everybody to speak the same dialect. Not just the same language, but he wanted us to have no difference in our dialect. Just like spiritually, you have some people that want the Nation of Islam to have no difference in our dialect or in our belief system. And this scientist tried to force everybody, and there should be no compulsion in Islam, but he tried to force everybody to speak the same dialect, which is not mathematics. You can't have the same atmospheric pressure if you're at sea level to the man on top of Mount Everest. There are people who are rich, there are people who are poor spiritually. There are people who naturally know more about things than others. I may know some things about the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but there's a whole bunch of things about these teachings I don't know. You may know about fixing cars, you may know about computers, you may know about doing hair, you may know what have you. We all have knowledge. We all have wisdom. We all have understanding on different things. That don't make me more nor less than you, nor does it make you more nor less than me. The message teaches us we must first be brothers. So, I humbly come to you with these teachings because they're not my teachings. They're the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I could be wrong. And I'm willing to respectfully, as the Holy Quran puts it, dispute in the best of manners. I'm willing to do that. I have no problem with that. But I'm not going to threaten you or disrespect your belief, because I know, right or wrong, we are all sincere in our beliefs, even if we're sincerely wrong. So I want us to look at prophecy. What is prophecy? Basically, prophecy is to teach something physical that was mental before it comes to pass, or before it actually happens. That is a basic, comprehensive definition of prophecy. Let us look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching on a brief thing. The messenger said this to us in Message to the Black Man in America. I like to quote him. He said, "The belief in a God other than man, a spirit, Allah has taught me, goes back into the millions of years, long before Yaqub, the father of the devils, because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. This is the first time that has ever been revealed, and we, the poor, rejected, and despised people, are blessed to be the first of all the people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God." Think that over. This secret knowledge of God. In Arabic, we say al-sir, the secret knowledge, alimi, the secret, al-sir, alimi, Allahi. The secret knowledge of God is not something that was hidden by white people long before Europeans came and put us in slavery, or long before Yaqub did whatever. Millions of years ago, this information was taken away from the general public. And we are blessed to be the first of all the people of the earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not saying that the world didn't have knowledge about the reality of God. All over the world, people had the knowledge of God. If you study the ancient Mayans, the Aztecs, the Kenites or the Egyptians, the people of Nubia or the Sudan, of Kush or Ethiopia or Tanzania or South Africa, if you go all the way to the Aboriginals in Australia, you will find that they believe that human beings were gods and goddesses. Not just gods, but goddesses. I understand and respect that a lot of people will be like, well, the black woman, she can't be a goddess. And recently I just published on Facebook a quote from the page number 3 of Muhammad Speaks newspaper, where the messenger during the interview was asked, how does one become a minister in Islam, or a Muslim minister? And the messenger explained that, in brief, all of his followers are ministers. He said, even the women, they are automatically, now that automatically, I'm quoting him on that, they are automatically ministers. Meaning, if you're a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and you're not a minister, you're not a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you're a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and you don't teach the reality of a law, and you're not a student follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad clearly teaches us, not just who is the original man, but he teaches us Allah is all of us. So we have to understand that this is a blessing, because this information is the first time known in the general public, in the sense of people may know about Usar or Cyrus and Set, Isis, the goddess. They may know about Heru and Horus, the godling or the sun, and think those things are absolutely true. That stuff about ancient Kemet, that's absolutely true. That's not talking about magic. Those were mathematical formulas. We just may interpret our ancient African culture in a form of mysticism and spookism and luck and superstition, but those people were dealing with mathematics, advanced science, spirituality, righteousness, culture, family, dealing with common sense, and that spread all over the world. That does not make me forget that we're Asiatics. And when we say Asiatic, we're not talking about Chinese or Japanese or people in that sense, in the ethnic sense. When we say Asia, Asia in 2014, as well as 100 years ago, a million years ago, we say as far as 76 trillion years ago, Asia is the largest continent on the planet Earth. It's 16 trillion or 16 million square miles. This planet, the message teaches us, is 76 trillion years old. So Asia basically means world. Ati simply means member or of a tribe or a citizen. So when we say Asiatic, we're simply saying that we're world citizens. We claim Mother Africa, but we claim Becca, which the Romans took over and renamed to Mecca. We say that the original Arabs or the original Jabs, that their rabbis were all black people. They were black lords. That's what the word Rab actually means in the Arabic. So these people were black people. The black Dalits over there in India were black people. The ancient people in China, the ancient people in the wilderness of North America and Brazil and Mexico, if you go to the tiny islands, there was only black folks on this planet. We just come in different shades of color. We come with 4 shades of black, 4 shades of brown, 4 shades of yellow, 4 shades of red. We come with albinos. We come from the Asian. We get the Caucasian, or the dead part of our world. We get the absence of all color. All of that exists inside of the DNA of the original man and original woman. So we, in the Nation of Islam, recognize the black man as God, but not in the sense that we're arguing or negating that the black woman is goddess. We're not saying she's goddess in the sense of she's over man. We're looking at it in the concept that she is we. The woman is the womb of man. She's woman. Meaning that you have to understand how the mind, scientists call it energy, religious people call it the creator, but whatever nomenclature you want to put on it, we're all simply saying the same thing, just in a different way. We're all saying that energy, or the mind of the black man, or the creator, can't be created nor destroyed, has no beginning nor ending, doesn't have length or weight or color or dimensions. All that is true when you look at it from a spiritual perspective. But if you take your holy book and say, well, my holy book talk about the serpent was talking, and it talk about the jinns, and it talk about drinking hot lava, and you taking things literal. Keep in mind the holy books talk about you're supposed to kill witches, you're supposed to get the death penalty if you eat a shrimp or a crab. Come on. Now, I mean, certain things are not practical. Your interpretation is so spooky. You know and I know that you're only using certain parts of the scriptures. Even an extremist in Islam. I mean, it behooves me that how can you read Surah 4 of the Holy Quran that teaches us to give women a good education and say women shouldn't be educated? Come on now. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. But this is the realm and the reality of the time that we're living in. I now would like to turn to something in the scriptures about prophecy, because there's a whole bunch of spooky prophecies out there. I'm not talking about just the Nation of Islam. I'm not just talking about black or white. I'm saying you can turn on YouTube or any of the religious channels and see all kind of prophecies out there. The scriptures teaches us in the book of Jeremiah. This is coming from the King James translation of the Bible. I'm not getting into the 1611 King James and all that. I'm getting into our interpretation. See, we see everything from a black perspective, a black theology, because I'm a black man. So my worldview is based on science and reality of my people. You see, it doesn't exclude other people. It just puts the world in context. And when you put the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad next to science, it's in accord. It's in harmony. It's not in contradiction. It's in harmony. Okay. Jeremiah teaches in chapter 5 and verse number 26. He says, "For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap. They catch men." And he goes on. "As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich." Meaning they getting paid off that technology. They are waxing fat. They shine. Yeah. They overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless. Meaning the youth all over America is suffering, even though there are temples and masjids and churches all over Pennsylvania, New York, California, Texas, Atlanta, Florida. It makes no difference. Our people still out there suffering and dying in 2014. They still spooked out their minds, still eating pork, still celebrate Christopher Columbus discovering America and carve turkeys and hams. They still great put up Christmas trees this year. They still great get drunk for New Year's. So all that, you're blessed with some super magic knowledge that just going to transform the world. The devil's world is still here. So the scripture says they are waxing fat. They shine, yeah. They overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. And the right of the needy do they not judge? Shall I not visit for these things? Saith the Lord, shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means. And my people love to have it so. And what will ye do in the end thereof? So here we have false teachers, 10%ers, rich slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies. But they're so articulate. As the Holy Quran says, that person pleases you. They give you what the messenger calls soft, buttery words. They tickle your ear with inspiration instead of factual information. And you take those preachings over the teachings because you don't want to accept responsibility and see the God or the devil in the mirror. You rather wait and hope and pray that Jesus come back, or the Mahdi comes back, or the Messiah comes back, or the mother plane comes flying down, or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad descends out the mother plane to do for you what you have to do for yourself. It's scary when you realize there's nothing up there but natural things. You here on earth, we made hell on earth. It's our responsibility to transform the hell into heaven. The 7 gates and the 7 gates to heaven and the 7 gates to hell is only symbolic. Master Fard Muhammad teaches us in our 99 actual facts that the black man has 7 mind dimensions. The physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the soul, the self, and the will. He teaches us that we have 9 forces which controls our equilibrium. It balances it out. Those 9 forces are attraction, repulsion, cohesion, assimilation, dissimulation, creation, projection, reception, and intuition. Yes, the book The Secret was beautiful, but she was teaching you about one principle. And they was giving analogies that are not mathematically sound. Because at the end of the day, as they put it, the same car headlights can take you from here to the other side of the country, yes. But if you only know about the law of attraction and you're not being taught about the other laws, if you're not taught about how to repel, then you can attract that money. And then what? Now you duct tape on the floor, grade get slumped. You can get your mom that brand new fancy car, but now you get your mother carjacked and shot in the head because you're playing with mathematics that you really can't comprehend. You can't play with Islam. The messenger said playing with Islam is like playing with fire. You're bound to get burned. So the prophet Jeremiah teaches us that those prophets are not teaching the truth. They're prophesizing. You see them, they tied into whatever's going on. That's how they just sell DVDs. That's just how they fill their congregations and get charity or tithes or sadaqah or zakat, or whatever other way you want to put it, the 10%, that's how they getting their money. That's how they is living in houses bigger than yours, driving cars that cost more than your house. You see how they're making more in a day than you and everyone in your family makes in a lifetime. But at the same time, in their city, the young boys are gangbanging and dying and killing each other. In their city, the people are sleeping on vents. In their city, the babies are hungry. In their city, they have prisoners that are dying in the belly of the beast. In their city, every day, every hour, you have people dying of diseases because they can't afford adequate health care. Now, I'm not one to believe in a utopia or some magical world, but I believe that we as human beings need to struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. We have to understand that we are in a struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. So in the messenger teachings, some people argue, is this symbolic or is he talking literal? His thing is, listen, his teachings are spiritual and literal. They have to be. Everything is spiritual and literal. You have the esoteric and exoteric. The esoteric part of the Bible or the Holy Quran or the lessons, takes us into a deeper inner meaning. But on the exoteric, you got your outer meaning. That don't form a contradiction. That shows the reality and the balance of the universe in which we live. We live in a universe of duality and dichotomies. We live in a universe of contradictions. Yes, there are positive forces and negative forces, protons and electrons, 5%ers, poor righteous teachers, and 10%ers, rich slave makers of the poor. There are the 85%, the mentally dead, the slaves from mental death and power. They are the neutrons, or the neutral part of the atom. This is the reality of the universe that we live in. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in Message to the Black Man. This here is on page number 124. Actually, it's a couple of pages. It's like from 124 all the way through to 126. I'm not going to read all of those pages, but I would like to share with you because we're covering prophecy. He says, quote, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Revelations chapter 13, verse 4. This beast that is spoken of in the prophecy of the first book of the Bible called Revelations, and has and still is being much misunderstood by my people. But one thing is certain, the name beast is believed by most all readers of the book to refer to a person or persons, which is right. But who is the person or persons? So here, the messenger teaches us about the beast of Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And he raises the question, who is like unto the beast? And who is able to make war with him? About 30 years ago sometime, I wrote a book on Revelation chapter 13. And This is the actual prototype of the book. This book is titled The Theology of Revelation chapter 13. This is a picture of me as a young teenager. But I sent this book out back in on February the 2nd, 1984. I sent it to the heads of the Nation of Islam at that time. I was trying my best to unite the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Brother Minister Salis Muhammad, two ministers and brothers that I respect. But for the sake of our people, I wanted to try to get them to unite the Nation of Islam. So instead of having a divided Nation of Islam, we would have a united or universal Nation of Islam. Not in the context that the followers of Farrakhan believe as Salis Muhammad believes, or Salis Muhammad believes as the followers of Minister Farrakhan believes. I understand Brother Minister Jabril Muhammad Bernard Kushmir believes that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still physically alive, and he's a beautiful brother who I personally love and admire and have the utmost respect for. He's a brother that over the years I personally communicated with. He has a beautiful heart, extremely intelligent brother. And me and him respectfully have different spiritual views on that subject, and we was able to communicate through letters in a intelligent, brotherly fashion. And even though I take the position that I don't believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still physically alive, I do understand that there are those who do. But I do not think that that issue should make us be arguing, divided. Oh, I don't talk to him, or I'm in bad standing, or they in bad standing. Come on now. We have never had agreement in the Nation of Islam. In the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, we will never have total agreement on every issue. That is so spooky. That's organized religion. If you see that, you see a cult. You better run from that kind of mentality, you see. So the brothers around the Nation of Islam have different viewpoints. And in this day and time, you have those that just simply, we just want to believe as the messenger believes. And we take different methodologies to reaching our goal. But I cannot say Salis is not sincere. I cannot say Brother Minister Farrakhan is not sincere. I personally see different brothers and sisters, for that matter, that be dropping Jews all over the place. And the condition of our people is such that I wish we had more. I wish we had more so that we could get the job done more effectively and efficiently. But in the theology of Revelation chapter 13 that I wrote, the messenger has a quote in here that I would like to share with you. The messenger teaches us, it is time for us to learn who we really are, and it is time for us to understand ourselves. That true knowledge is here for you today, whether you accept it or reject it. God has said that we are members of the original people or black nation of the earth. This was an article by the messenger titled Understand Self. In the book, I also quote from Master Fard Muhammad from the Problem Book number 32 about prophecy. Master Fard Muhammad says, one of the prophets in early days said, quote, the lost found Nation of Islam, numbering 144,000, will be the stars and will return to their original land. And the balance, he said, are poisoned and rusty, and will not take the knowledge of their own. But the messenger and his laborers do not agree with the old prophet in this modern time. He thinks that he will remove all poison and rust from every one of the 17 million. At the same time, he desires for every one of you students to help solve this problem, since you have learnt the time accomplishment in Old Prophet's number 144,000. The problem book number 32 by our Savior, W.D. Fard, whom we call Almighty God, Allah in person, to whom all praises are due forever. So here we have a poison and a rust. We have a mental and physical impediment that's hindering us from meeting and overcoming all obstacles in our path. It's stopping us from using the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because we're literally unaware of a lot of the things that the messenger's message contains that will guide us out of this age of mess. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, the direct teachings, the original teachings, the pure teachings, the holy teachings, that which is not mixed, diluted, or tampered with in any form, is critical. It's critical to me because in order for me to properly be a student follower of the messenger, I need to know the messenger's message. So I have to pick up his books. I have to pick up his lessons, his manuals, his example. And this is to us like other spiritual faiths say, well, I believe in this, I believe in that. They have to piece it apart. They have to do the homework. They have to do the research in order to properly say that they have a understanding of their particular faith. So the messenger's teachings on prophecy is unique because he's not prophesizing or predicting the coming of a mystery God. He's prophesizing the actual presence of God and the future rise of a nation in a nation. He's looking at the future based on the mathematics of the past. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is based on reality. So when we look at the 24 scientists and them writing history, we're not saying that the 24 scientists is sitting around saying, okay, on June the 15th, 2016, at 4:15 and 13 seconds, Brother John 4X is going to fall down 3 steps and bust his lip. That's not what we're saying. The messenger teachings is based on mathematics. He shows us reality in the sense of the natural laws of cause and effect, actions and reactions. He teaches us that Islam is mathematics, and before we get to a whole, we deal with a fraction. So the fact that so-and-so is going to fall at a certain time is going to be based on time, because the messenger says in the theology of time that time is created by motion. Time does not exist independent of the vibration of the atoms of creation. He teaches us that we live on a planet that is revolving on her axis 1,120 feet per second on sound waves, and that she's rotating on her axis in a natural sense of 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. And as he said, she is not exactly 25,000, but she's 24,896 miles in her circumference. So we live on a planet that is making movement. So the ancient people of Kemet or Egypt, they would take and place a stick in the sand and make a cipher or a circle in 360 degrees and can tell from the movement of the shadow the mathematics of 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds in a solar day, and 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds in a solar year. So they understood that time was created by motion. If my watch is moving, I could tell what time it is. But if the battery dies and it's no longer in motion, you be like, what time is it? Oh, my watch ain't working no more. It's not in motion. I can move, you can move, but we can't move if we're not acting in harmony or conjunction in conformity with the dictates of time. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in the theology of time that first God did not have a will. You'd be like, but the will of Allah did not have a will according to the theology of time in 1972. He teaches us that in order to have a will, you need a brain cell, you need a neuron. One brain cell weighs 510 billionths of an ounce and generated power equal to 170,000th of a volt of electricity. There has to be a cause behind any effect. So your desire has to be concentrated. Not your will, because we have all kinds of things that we will. Those things we be like, oh, where are they? But our desire, when we're able to channel our thoughts, as our lessons teaches us in Lost Found Miles in lesson number 2, we have to have that determined idea. It has to be magnetized. It has to be enforced. It has to have gravitational pull and pushes. It has to have that equilibrium in order for it to become effective. And this is like the rays of the sun traveling 186,000 miles per second. You feel them, you see them. However, if you took a magnifying glass and let those rays go through that prism, those rays become desired or concentrated. They become determined. They become dense. Now they can spark things. Now they can make things happen at will. But the messenger teaches us to properly understand prophecy. Just because the 24 scientists write something in the prophecies, it don't mean that it's going to come to pass. You, me, we, us have the ability to make the messenger's teaching so plain that we literally can change or beat the old prophets' predictions or prophecies. That is a power that is totally up to us. Now, if we don't do our job, it's not going to come to pass. What does that mean? That means the devil won't rule for 100 years. The messenger said in Message to the Black Man, the devil will rule for millions of years until you wake up into the reality of God. Until you wake up and see God in the mirror. This is what this is basically all about. You realizing yourself. The knowledge of self. That's what it's about. It's not about you looking for Master Muhammad to come back. You waiting on the supreme angels to come do something for you. You waiting on the mother plane or the messenger or Jesus come back from 2,000 years ago, or Tupac to come back, or Moses, the Messiah, or the Mahdi from the Sunnah or the Shia. No. You have to realize that all of these great personages that you're waiting on is actually in you. You have to bring your actions up to par with your thinking. You have to make your desire so intense. But how do you do that? You have to understand prophecy. So this little message that I'm presenting to you is the first of a series, because it's going to take mathematics. We have to take it degree by degree, step by step. This is just a little basic, introductory here. But it's in accord with the messenger's teachings. It's in accord with the messenger's message in this age of mess. Let us look at the Holy Quran for a moment. The Holy Quran says this. It says in Surah or chapter 54, and everything they do is in the writings, and everything small and great is written down. Surely the dutiful will be among gardens and rivers, in the seat of truth with a most powerful king. Think that over. And everything they do, or you do, or I do, or we do, is in the writings. And everything small and great is written down. Everything. We have to understand this universe. If I take and I put an ink pen before you, and in my mind I say, in 7 seconds I'm going to let the pen go, and it's going to hit the book, and you're going to hear it. And I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The pen fell just as prophesied, and you heard it just as predicted. On a small scale, we know we do this all the time. We know our family do it, the children do it. You may say, okay, well, tonight we're going to have salad with dinner. You may say, I'm going to go shopping tomorrow. I'm going to get my hair cut next Thursday. And you get your hair cut next Thursday. How? Because you're basing your prediction off of mathematics. But you know intuitively, instinctively, that your prophecy can be modified. Your mathematics can be modified. You know that if something happens to change the mathematical desire, you won't get your hair done or your hair cut. Not that you didn't write it or predict it or plan for it and was working towards that, but something else may have came up. And this is why the Bible, Jesus taught his disciples, when you talk about the future, make sure you say God willing. The Holy Quran says the same thing, just in a different way. The Quran teaches us, when you talk about the future, say inshallah. In the Nation of Islam, we say inshallah Sakin. We say if it's the will of the God in person. Why? Because we're saying if the mathematics are in order. Because if the mathematics ain't in order, that which you are predicting or prophesizing about is not going to come to pass. Now, there are certain things that are more complicated than that, of course. And we're saying that the 24 scientists, the 12 major and the 12 minor, they get together, black men, all of them, and they're able to write down things in a mathematical way and take certain thoughts and actions to bring it into fruition. So in the history of Jesus, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that one of the old scientists went to Jesus' school, and he came there with a desire. He came there because it was written that, yeah, we got to raise this kid Jesus. We got to raise this boy Jesus, this youth. But his mythology is unique. He was thinking outside the box. He wasn't thinking the thoughts we think. He wasn't thinking mortal thoughts. He wasn't thinking on a plane of existence we think on the physical, the emotional, the mental. He's up here in the spiritual, the soul, the self, and the will. He's going to make it happen. So he's going to some other youth and he's telling them that he has a child, a son, and he's looking for somebody to teach his son mathematics. And the kids knew that Jesus was good in math, so they, oh, here come Jesus now. But what he was doing, he was willing into existence or bringing and concentrating his determined idea. And when he got next to Jesus, he was able to teach Jesus secret lessons about mental telepathy. Mental telepathy is a real mathematical lesson, a real reality. Just as you have FM and the AM on your radio, or frequency modulation and the amplitude modulation, there are dense and weak signals, dense and weak ideas or thought waves. The same thing with a television. There are ultra high frequencies and very high frequencies. There are UHF and VHF on televisions. So these are mental powers that exist in the original people by nature. The messenger teaches us that we have to get back in accord with our natural selves, because the devil's world made us other than ourselves. We breathe 3 cubic feet of air every hour, and the devil contaminates 3 cubic feet of air every hour. Our every breath is polluted. Every sip of water is polluted. The very hydrogen and oxygen is not being vibrated properly in our being. The grafted fruits and vegetables, the toxic soil, the crazy meat that's out there. We have to go through all this hell to try to find our balance. So you have to take and eat to live. Spiritually